So, back by popular demand, white horse. Not because it was my choice, it was her choice. She needs attention. I was driving back getting parts the other day and it sounded like something wanted outside from somewhere. Sounded like this. Ding dong ding dong 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 dong. And I didn't know what that was. Unless you guys knew what that was right off the get-go. But it is. Stopped, took a look, and there it is. Yep. So, why do one side? May as well do both. So anyway, that's what I'm about to do is I'll change these quick. I've never put on another rim yet, which I should do. I should probably change oil and antifreeze as well. And then hopefully White Horse is going to be happy with me again for at least another month or whatever. The CV joints, axles, I don't think are a good point on this. It's lifted, this truck, so I don't think it matters because the pump and everything else is lowered, so the CV runs the same angle. I didn't lift this truck, it came like this. Usually when you get a lift truck, you're making up for something, so that was the most painful part when I got this truck used. I had to go in for a penis reduction. But yeah, that hurt the most. But it's here and there's nothing we can do. So let's get at her and fix this thing. Took the wheel off, feeling winded. No, I'm just kidding. Anyways, gonna take the caliper off. I got shoes because I figured while I'm here, I'm gonna do shoes. I don't know if you can see it, but there isn't much left. Shoes are dirt cheap. Why wouldn't you put them in if you're going through all this shit? Another thing is I'm going to take the caliper right apart because I shouldn't have all that slop in there and it sounds like shit. It's always been loud and this would definitely be a clattery noise. So I'm going to throw that off, do the shoes, pull the axle, which consists of pulling them bolts, check the bearings. I also pick them up just in case. I always try to pick, depends on your parts store, but I got a very good parts store, so they let me just pick up everything and return whatever the hell I don't need. That avoids 22,000 trips to town for no reason, and as much as I love all that, not. So anyway, that's where we're at. So I'm going to start pulling this caliper off, the axle, see what the bearing's like, and I'll update you. Now a few minutes, seconds, I don't know how long ago I was back, I let you hear the sound. Watch this, or listen to this. Pretty damn close, pretty damn close. It's apart. So I found nothing of the obvious, nothing was tough, so I didn't record it. But I'll explain what I did and what I found. First, I took the caliper off and I just do the 2 bolts, which is a 21 mil wrench. And I use the impact wrench, meaning I put the wrench on there and hit it, the shit out of it with the hammer at the end. It's my kind of impact. Comes loose every time. So pulled the caliper off. Discovered one shoe not so good. The other one is at 50% or better. So that means these bushings no good. That's where my clatter was. So instead of a floating disc brake, it would jam and seize and always brake with one pad more so than the others. That's an issue. Now these, we can replace these bushings and pins separate. You take them out there and then install new ones with new seals. That's the way I'm gonna go because I'm a cheap bastard. The rotor there, it's got edges. It's actually not super bad, but you know what? The left is thinner than the right. So clean them up, spend half an hour, piss around, lay the edges off. $120 for a new one. I'm gonna go with a new one. So the other thing they didn't do is it wasn't bolted to here. See all the rust and shit. I don't know why you would do that, but they did. So the bearing, the bearing is fine. It's not much wrong with it. Little stiff, so good, no play. So I'm gonna leave it alone. A trick with taking the dust cap off this one is I use this instead of a chisel because it's got more surface area. It's sharper and not such an aggressive ramp, so it's way easier on the cap when you remove it. And I use an impact to get the inner nut off, which I believe is inch and 5/16, and 14 miles of extension and a 15 mil socket to get at the far inner axle. So once you pop him off, pull him sideways a bit, and then you can yank the whole axle out. So if the axle is seized in here a little bit, but sometimes they're seized a lot, I spin the nut to the end so it's flush. Let's use my two-piece here for an example. I spin it to the end so it's flush. And then grab the old hammer and beat it like a bad habit. So this one took one pop, came out. I don't know why it come apart so easy. I've never had this. Something weird's gonna happen today for sure. So here is the axle. Wasn't out of grease. It was just tired of this shit. So there's the broken collar. The balls are somewhere in Canada on the side of the road shoulder or in the grill of another car. I don't know, but they're gone. So here we are. I can start putting the other axle in, clean this face up, and then find where the bolt holes are supposed to be. Here and there maybe. I don't know, we'll find them. So then we'll get ready for assembly. I got everything except rotors, which was dumb, but we'll go get them and put it together. So took the other side apart. It's basically a ringer to the other side, except this one is okay, but you know what? I'm gonna replace it anyways. Rotor, same shape. The shoes, same thing, worn, not too bad. Bushings, bad. So new pins, bushings, brake shoes, rotors. Then it wasn't happy. I don't know if you can see, but these are done. And that's not good. Exactly what I wanted to do. So I guess there goes retirement. White Horse is getting it again. So here's what I do for the old ball joint. I grab this trusty old jack, make air, because I'm lazy. And we got contact. So I'm going to put pressure on it, not a lot. That's about good. Now I'm going to hit it with a hammer, hold one hammer here, hit it with the hammer on the opposite side, keep going part way around for a bit. Then, if it's still ignorant, I'm going to hit it right there and guaranteed it'll break loose. When I do that, just so shit doesn't fly everywhere, I leave the nut on so the nut bottoms out. It only lifts up that much. That way you don't wear it and the whole truck doesn't jiggle and sound like the world is coming to an end. So, spin the nut off, and voila. Now, this bad boy, which can be ignorance too, we'll deal with him next. I really don't know what's going on right now because I simply put a wrench on here and it come loose. That's never happened ever to me before. I was hoping to have to show you what happened, but I'm completely okay with it. I'll just explain. Sometimes these seasons so bad, it's just crazy to get them off. So I end up cutting this little band off, grab a grinder and cut it off here. Then you can get a pipe wrench, or I made a special tool that fits on the four corners, wedge it on, and you can usually jar it loose because I welded a nut on the other end so you can use an impact on the little tool. But I'm totally okay with not having to have used this, so that I'm glad with this. I'm going to put the new shit together. I didn't take any of this off, so I can kind of line it up perfect with the new one and get a wheel alignment afterwards regardless, but it should be pretty damn close. So if I don't get there in the next day or 300, then it won't be too bad. Here's the two ends. So here's what I kind of do to make them fairly equal. First, we compare the new to the old here. And they're exactly the same. What I'm checking to see is the thread depth is the same, meaning when this is bottomed out, or this sits on the table, I should say, it's the same as this guy. So what I do now, I've dropped the phone up. I don't know how good you're going to see this, but here's what I do. Set them flush on the ground with that because we confirmed that that was the same as the new one. So here's the new one. Now, you don't want to do this because this thing is floppy. It's well used. That's why we're changing it, I guess. This one's fairly stiff. So what I do is I go with the grease nipples because they're centered. So I set them like this and try and line up the grease nipples the best I can. So you probably can't see it, but the new one needs to go down one. I would say that's pretty damn close. Good enough. So now tighten the jam nut. I did put some Wiener slider never sees on here, so when the guys at the tire shop with the wheel alignment stuff align it, they're gonna say, what a nice fellow, that thing just turned by hand. I'm sure they won't, but whatever, that's what I'm going with. So I'm pretty confident it's well in line. Comes with factory goulash on it, so you don't have to Loctite it. Grease nipples in, everything's in. I don't grease any of that. I make sure it's dry so it gets a good bite, won't come loose. This is a Moog. You got the Moog. It's supposed to be the better stuff, is it? I don't know. It's just something I'm gonna stick with. So add good luck. So guess why change? And it is a problem solver. So I'm going to tighten this nut, install it. Let's go back to the truck. Okay, I got that good and tight. Now what you want to make sure is that you can see that it's bottomed right out. Because there's that goulash in there, makes it tough to tighten. So make good and sure that it's good and tight. Good and tighten. Good and tighten. Now, in here there's grease. I don't like that. So, I work on the brakes right away. So why wouldn't you have brake clean? Clean that out. And I like to use my nose picker finger. Wiggle that in there. Reposition it to another one. And since my little finger doesn't fit, there. Now it's good and dry, and I'm okay with putting the Moog in. You got the Moog. There. Nutter up, and we should be good to go. A cotter pin, and that should be good. There's the new rotor. There's the old one. I probably didn't have to tell you that. Hey, so as you can tell, it's not super bad as far as worn this way, but it does have a ridge. You clean that up. Let's say lose 1/8 of an inch, reface it. So this one is perfect. It's gonna pull a lot of trailer, and I don't wanna monkey around with it. Let's just put shit on. I know it's done. I know the ball joints were done. It's all cauterized, you can see. So, lines tied up, little bolts are in place, the abs are plugged in, everything is fantastic. So, now I am gonna put some anti-seize on here and around there, so it doesn't look like the old guy. It was fairly corroded. I am going to put the one little bolt in to hold the spindle in place, or to hold the rotor in place. Why? Because if someone takes the wheel off, dirt falls off the rim. There's a space. There's a space between there and here. Dirt falls in between, they wedge it down, it can run crooked, it can do all kinds of weird shit. So if the rotor's on crooked because there's a piece of shit behind it, then the wheel round's crooked. You can't balance that. You can't do anything. So why not keep this clean? I'm just going to put never seize on so it doesn't rust on solid again. And that's where we're going with this one. She's all lubed up and looking fine, ready for the rotor. I was just going to point something out. Check that out. I don't like putting dust caps on like this. Ooga, 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 ooga. Or like this. Don't like it. I just put them on. Tap it a wee bit till it bites. Then I use the old removal spatula tool that I used to remove the dust cap with this little edge here. So now I put it sideways and just gently tap it around, turn it as I go till it seats. So now I have a flawless, no dent stuff, and I hit it where the stress is. The pressure is here, not so much here or there, but right about here. So I put the hole up right there, see it? Which goes to this tapered one. So I find it easier to set that to the top. So then when you grab the rotor, you put that to the top and it should all slam together. Then I'll find the tapered bolt, shove it in, should be good to go. Installed the tapered little bolt. It's a 6mm tapered head, looks like that. So shove it in, now it's tight. No shit can get in behind ever when people are banging tires on or doing whatever. So something I like to do. Now I'm gonna do the brake. I will never seize these threads. I'll also never seize the edge of this so the rim doesn't glue itself on too terribly bad. Let's move forward to the brake. The special brake tool is the old pad. I'm just gonna set it in wherever, it doesn't really matter. That's a song too. Now I'm gonna use good old Bessie. So ignorant working with one hand. There. Now the reason I have to do this is because I gotta squeeze both back at the same time. You can't do one at a time because you push one in, it'll push the other out. So both at the same time. This is the special brake tool. I'm gonna have to let you go because I can't do this anymore. Here's the old brake slide, wore out, corroded thing. That's where it kind of seized, you know, why it wore one pad more so than the other. So Ray Bestis makes a kit here and here with these, so you can replace these. Now, I do not know why. Here's the brake kit and the little whistlers and screamers and sliders. Why don't they send them with new rubber? And it should have a rubber in here as well. But what do I know? Ray knows bestest. Before I attempt this, you can already tell by this is basically want to come out by itself. Not. It looks like shit. It's rusted. So, and my favorite Allen head. So, what we're gonna do is tap the shit out of it first. So, if I shove it in the vise like this, then block the screen so you can't see. There, I laid a chisel across, now it bottoms out. Now I'm going to hit the top of that with a hammer and jar it loose for a little bit. Then, after that, I'm going to set it on the vise like here and tap it right on. Jesus, that's tough. Tap it right on top of, oh my God, here, like that, where my thumb is. So this is a 10 mil, which will fit in here, like that. Now, what I like to do is put a 10 mil wrench on it as well. So then we have double the torque. Oh. It's easier on the Allen wrench. We probably all have Allen wrenches where there's a slight viral twist. So the 10 mil wrench fits on there perfectly, and now you can push and pull, and it's better for balancing on the thing. It doesn't twist this way and that. So this one, okay, that's that. So it actually looked fairly easy. Usually they're ass, but the banging, you guys, it helps so much. I just love banging stuff. So yeah, do that, try that trick, and definitely that penetrating oil is probably the greatest thing since stuff. Okay, I'm gonna grab the new pin, shove them in. And flat face down, this little edge goes up because that's where the used rubber goes over top. So like this, into that, into this. WTF, wrong ones. Oh, never mind, wrong hole. Almost snapped, lost it there. Sorry you guys had to witness that. Okay, I'm gonna grab the other one, do the same thing. I actually screwed it into the main holder one. Rookie mistake. Okay. Brand new, never been used. That's not too bad. Okay, the steel sliders are in, both are in. And then there's the left and right braking pad with squealer to the side. So everything is in. This moves freely, as you can tell. I'm now going to wiggle it around the rotor, fasten her down. So this is the weak problem. I got to get a seal in there. This guy. How do you get that in that little tight space? I will show you. So what I'm doing is I found the washer about the same size. Now I use the flange nut, invert it. Then I go in with the bolt through the yoke and you can suck the seal in. So I'm gonna put the hub back on. Two things. It broke this collar off, which is the steering stop, which bottoms out here. So it was broke, so the tire was hitting there, which bust everything off. So what I did is tap 2 holes into the casting, bolted on like that, and put a stop to take the stress off the bolt load. Hopefully that works. I'm going to install them because this has a loader. I have an advantage. I can use my little come along.